The storm came like a warning no one had time to understand. Wind tore across the plains, dragging dust and darkness with it, turning the Wyoming sky into a swirling grave of thunder and fear. Daniel Hayes, a lone cowboy hardened by years of silence and loss, pulled his coat tighter as he rode against the storm. His ranch lay miles ahead, but something in the wind felt different. Not just danger, but a cry. He almost ignored it. Out here, you learn not to chase every sound. The land played tricks. The wind could sound like a woman screaming, a child calling, or a man begging. And chasing illusions could get you killed. But then he heard it again. Faint. Broken. Human. Daniel slowed his horse. "Hello?" he called out, his voice nearly swallowed by the roaring wind. No answer. Just when he was about to turn back, lightning split the sky, and for a brief second, the world lit up. That's when he saw her. A figure, collapsed near an overturned wagon, half buried in dust and torn canvas. Daniel's heart skipped. He didn't think. He rode. Jumping off his horse, he rushed to her side. She was barely conscious, her face pale, lips cracked, dress soaked and clinging to her trembling body. "Hey, hey, can you hear me?" he said, gently lifting her head. Her eyes fluttered open, just for a second. And in that moment, Daniel saw something he hadn't seen in years. Not fear. Not desperation. Hope. "Please," she whispered. "Don't leave me." And then she went still. Daniel didn't hesitate again. He wrapped her in his coat, lifted her onto his horse, and turned toward his ranch. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know where she came from. But deep down, something told him. This storm hadn't brought her to him by accident. When she woke up, the storm was gone. Soft morning light filtered through the wooden window, and the scent of something warm, bread, maybe, filled the air. She blinked slowly, trying to understand where she was. "You're awake." The voice startled her. She turned her head and saw him, Daniel, standing near the door, holding a cup of water. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then she tried to sit up, but pain shot through her body. "Easy," Daniel said, stepping forward. "You've been through a lot." "Where am I?" she whispered. "My ranch. Found you out in the storm." Her eyes widened slightly, as if trying to piece together a memory that refused to settle. "The wagon," she murmured. I was supposed to." She stopped. Daniel noticed the fear creeping into her face. "You don't have to say anything," he said gently. "You're safe here." Safe. The word seemed unfamiliar to her. She looked around the room, simple, quiet, warm. A place untouched by chaos. Tears welled up in her eyes. "My name is Emily," she said softly. Daniel nodded. "Daniel." There was silence again. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that felt like the beginning of something. Over the next few days, Emily slowly regained her strength. She helped around the house despite Daniel insisting she rest. She cooked. Cleaned. Even smiled, though those smiles carried a sadness behind them. Daniel noticed everything. He noticed how she hesitated before speaking. How she flinched at loud sounds. How she stared into the distance, as if haunted by something she couldn't escape. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in gold and crimson, Daniel finally asked, "Why were you out there alone?" Emily froze. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, quietly, she spoke. "I was a mail-order bride." Daniel frowned slightly. "I was promised to a man I had never met," she continued. "They said he was kind. That he needed a wife. That I would have a home." Her voice trembled. "But when I arrived, he wasn't there." Daniel's expression darkened. His neighbors told me he had died weeks before I got there, she said. No one wanted to take me in. They said I was useless now. Daniel clenched his fists. I had nowhere to go, she whispered. No money. No family. Just nothing. Her eyes filled with tears. I thought, maybe if I kept going, I'd find something. Someone. She looked at him then. But the storm came. And for a moment, the room felt heavy with everything she had endured. Daniel took a deep breath. You found something, he said quietly. Emily looked at him, confused. What? You found your way here. She stared at him, her lips trembling. And for the first time since she arrived, she believed it. Weeks passed. The ranch, once silent and lifeless, began to change. Laughter echoed through the halls. Warm meals replaced cold nights. And Daniel, once a man buried in loneliness, began to feel something he thought he had lost forever. Hope. Emily brought light into his world. But she carried shadows of her own. One night, everything changed. A group of men rode up to the ranch. Daniel stepped outside, his instincts sharp. What do you want? He asked firmly. One of the men smirked. We're looking for a girl, he said. Blonde. Thin. Came through town a few weeks ago. Daniel's heart sank. She's not here, he replied. The man chuckled. Don't lie to me, cowboy. We know she was headed this way. Inside the house, Emily heard everything. Her hands began to shake. They found me, she whispered. Memories flooded back, cruel faces, harsh words, the feeling of being unwanted. She couldn't let this happen again. She couldn't let Daniel get hurt because of her. Tears streamed down her face as she made a decision. Without a word, she packed a small bag and slipped out the back door. By the time Daniel realized what had happened, she was gone. Daniel rode through the night. He knew where she was going. Back to nowhere. Back to the emptiness she had tried to escape. And he wasn't going to let that happen. He found her at sunrise, walking alone across the endless plains. Emily. She stopped. Slowly, she turned around. You shouldn't be here, she said, her voice breaking. They were looking for you, Daniel replied. You ran. I had to, she said. I won't let my past destroy your life. Daniel shook his head. You think I care about that? You should, she cried. I bring trouble. I bring pain. Everyone who lets me stay ends up regretting it. Daniel rode closer. Not me. She looked at him, tears falling freely. You don't understand. No, he said softly. You don't understand. He stepped off his horse and walked toward her. I've spent years alone, he said. After losing everything, I stopped believing life could be anything more than survival. His voice softened. Then you showed up. Emily's breath caught. You brought warmth into a place that had forgotten what it felt like, he continued. You gave me something I didn't even know I needed. He paused, looking directly into her eyes. You gave me a reason to live again. Emily broke down. I'm scared, she whispered. I know, Daniel said gently. He reached out his hand. But you don't have to face it alone anymore. She looked at his hand. Then at his face. And in that moment, she realized something powerful. Hope wasn't something you found. It was something you chose. With trembling fingers, she took his hand. And everything changed.